reduction of term operation cost. It is very significant. Moreover, this reduction in emissions can be translated as an additional revenue for the sector. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Granville. You were very concise and straight to the point. Now we have 30 minutes for Q&A. I have already some questions. I already gave a hint to some of our speakers here, and I would like to start with the first question from Claudio Monteiro from Comex. He talks about, I would like to understand your opinion, to know your opinion. I would like to understand, to know your opinion about the last auction of DIN in the GESEL study. Comex trades bioenergy power for sugar and alcohol mills in the auction, and we didn't find any hypotheses that were self-dealing. The prices were close to the maximum rate because Petrobras didn't join the auction, and Eletrobras company didn't participated in the auction as well. Well, there was an adjustment auction in January between distributors are not hired. Legally, they had to be 100% hired. And what we have seen, it is not a supposition, it's a reality. We can prove it. Companies from the same group traded among themselves. The distributor of Group A bought from the producer of Group A, or CEMIG sold energy to the light company. CEMIG is the generator, sold power to light. This is self-dealing. It is not a supposition. 40% of energy sold during this auction, offered during this auction, were traded among the groups themselves. This added an expense, increasing the price that were being traded in the free market for a one-year contract around 90-100 reais, which was prevailing in the before the auction. This is an additional expense that distributors will have to pay 400 million reais, which is half what ENS expected to spend to maintain the level established by ENS. This was legal. It was not illegal. What we saw, it's a error in the standards, in the ruling standards. Auctions allow for this situation. So, no, there was not, it was not, what we observed was a sense of opportunity, and you read the standards as in a way that is more convenient to your trading. So what we need is to correct this mistake that is in the ruling of the auctions. We send this study to the ministry, to ANEEL, and possibly next year this possibility will be ruled out because rules are very open to in terms of self-dealing. I have questions to Silvestrin. Let's go straight forward to the answers to give a chance to answer all the questions. It comes from Gustavo Correia from FG Agro. Given the number of units connected, I understand this question is to Silvestrin, once he didn't mention to who he wanted to discuss. It's less than 20% of the existing units, and the prevailing energy, it's low pressure boilers. What is lacking? It is a problem of culture from the businessman, or more incentives to the introduction of these plants. I would say that it's both. We can consider both. There is among investors of the sector a recent point of view that bioelectricity might add value to the business, bringing results not only in terms of billing but economic results for their business. We also have some issues to be sorted out, although the ruling is very recent in terms of connection. This scenario is very complicated, the involvement between generator and transmitters and distributors, because the connection rule is very complicated and it's not very clear in this sector, therefore showing an operational complexity. I also believe that people from this sector should work stronger in this issue. We'll have yearly auctions. What we are doing in 2009 to prepare for the auction to take place in 2010. But we should ask an additional auction in 2010 specifically for wind power. We are strong advocates that auctions are per sources and regional. We'll have 100,000 megawatts of potential projects for natural gas power, and 50% of these are in the state of Espírito Santo. The gas will come from the Santos Basin, goes up to Espírito Santo, Vitória State, and back to the station and the plant. Thank you, Silvestrin. Sergio Granville will answer this question. This is from Tessio Della Vecchia from Energia.
The complementary is healthy, although the mills are interested in concentrating their efforts for off-season. How do you explain that? Well, the issue here, I guess, he's asking is in saying that the concessionaires are interested in having the mills to generate energy between the off-season period of sugarcane harvesting. Not only during the periods that would add complementary, not only during the dry season. Well, it depends on the load. The load is constant throughout the year, so although in principle the hydroelectric plants would generate more during the off-season period, or there are uncertainties regarding that, and the distributor would like a firm energy supply. That was changed with the agreement for availability. It used to be more complex for bioelectricity before that. Professor Nivalde, how would you include in the complementary panel, the scenario, the wind energy? Well, based on my central assumption, the argument also favors wind energy because it generates energy during the dry season, and it could also be complemented. Solar energy we don't consider so much because of its cost and scale, so it can't have such a high impact as bioelectricity. And natural gas can also play this role, provided that it is purchased based on inflexibility. So the main issue here is that we must have agreements that are not flexible and not based on availability. Bioelectricity, at least right now, is the source that has greater possible externality when compared to all the other possibilities available in the Brazilian economy. We were in Spain recently to visit their solar energy mills and or plants, and there are some large plants producing solar energy, and there's a high expectation regarding the price because the solar plates are getting much thinner. So wind would be above bioelectricity, and then would come solar energy. But that's a possibility. What scares us a bit is that from the new renewable sources of energy, if we only consider it for our new sources, wind, solar energy, in this analysis, 63% of these technologies are being applied in OECD countries, only 3.7 countries in South America or Latin America. So we can lag behind in terms of technology. Another issue with wind energy is that there's a need to adjust the models of the auctions, but the way the auctions are set up now, wind energy would only be available in the northeast, where you have a high frequency and constant wind blowing. But we must think of some regionalization of that, because it would make sense to have 5,000 megawatts of energy available there and export to the south of the country. So that's the beauty of bioelectricity. We have a potential within the load center where the energy is most needed, which is in the south and southeast. 30% of the load of Brazil is here, and the electricity is in the neighboring area. So that's an important regional aspect, because if the diesel thermoelectric plants are all located in the northeast region, because they were benefited from the ICMS tax exemption, if they're all built in the northeast region, but if they are, the ONS would have to auction the transmission line to reinforce the load and to be idle because they are purchased based on availability. So there's an economic inefficiency that derives from a methodological mistake, or rather the needs from a methodology adjustment in the auction that's significant. Lowest global cost. There is a question by Daniel Campos Silvan to Silvestrin, and some are very hard to read, but anyway. Could you please detail the project for collecting mills or states in Brazil, because we have a retrofit with an installed network different from greenfield. How will, I think the question was asked to me, but I would send it to Silvestrin. Well, the model for shared facilities can be applied to any region, but of course with retrofit we'll find a mill with 2 million tons with a 21 bar boiler will probably have an in-house consumption of 8 megawatt, probably connected to a distribution network of 50